Kamu seneng mobil?
Hah?
Seneng mobil?
Seneng.
Oh, tinggal di mana? Hah? Di situ? Yang itu?
Yang biru-biru itu.
Oh, orang tuanya di mana?
Meninggal.
Hah?
Meninggal.
Meninggal? Kenapa ibu? Kenapa meninggal?
Tabrak motor.
Tabrak motor? Bapak?
Ketabrak kereta.
Ah, yang benar kamu. Benar?
Di situ waktu lagi BAB, lagi ke solokan besar.
Iya. Jadi kamu sekarang sama siapa?
Sendiri.
Terus ngapain? Nanti udah makan dari mana?
Ngamen.
Oh, ngamen. Harus nyetor enggak? Enggak?
Dan juga dikasih 5.000.
Oh, gitu.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bagaimana kabar sobat? Mudah-mudahan sehat selalu. Baik, welcome back to channel Dipa Nikude. Sahabat Dipa Nikude sekalian, hari ini mungkin kita sudah tahu bahwasanya pergaulan itu sangat penting buat kita, khususnya baik kalangan remaja, orang dewasa maupun bahkan ibu-ibu atau ibu-ibu rumah tangga gitu. Tetapi jangan salah bahwasanya pergaulan itu harus juga melihat siapa yang harus kita dekati dan siapa mereka gitu. Karena tanpa tidak disadari bahwasanya pergaulan itu sangat mempengaruhi kepribadian kita. Nah, ini ada kisah mengenai diakibatkan dari bagian dari pergaulan, atau dalam istilah sosiologi adalah proses sosialisasi. Nah, sahabat Dipa Nikude, apa yang maksud dengan sosialisasi? Sosialisasi adalah penanaman nilai-nilai dan norma-norma yang berlaku di dalam masyarakat dan diberikan atau dilestarikan dari generasi ke generasi, sehingga individu atau masyarakat bisa mengindahkan atau melaksanakan nilai dan norma itu tersebut. Nah, di sini ada beberapa rangkaian video mengenai hasil dari sebuah proses sosialisasi yang tidak sempurna. Apa itu proses sosialisasi tidak sempurna? Sosialisasi tidak sempurna adalah diakibatkan karena kecacatan fisik, kecacatan mental, sehingga individu atau sekelompok masyarakat melakukan penyimpangan-penyimpangan atau perilaku-perilaku sosial yang diakibatkan oleh proses sosialisasi yang tidak sempurna. Selamat menyaksikan cuplikan-cuplikan video mengenai bagian rangkaian atau contoh proses sosialisasi tidak sempurna. Selamat menyaksikan.
That's going to be useful, not now, because I suspect she was reluctant to learn that in the first place.
Cases like Oksana Malaya provide extraordinary opportunities for scientists, opportunities that could never otherwise be replicated because of their cruelty. In this day and age, experimenting on newborn babies is obviously a no-no. So the so-called feral children are like the forbidden experiment. They give us an insight into the age-old debate, nature versus nurture. Are we a product of our genes, or are we a product of our experiences? Back in the 1930s, there weren't the same ethical concerns about children, and American scientist Winthrop Kellogg used his own 18-month-old son Donald in an experiment with a chimpanzee. The idea was that by spending lots of time together every day, the chimpanzee would take on human characteristics learnt from the child. And that happened, but unexpectedly the child also began barking and yelping like the chimp, mimicking it. By accident, Kellogg had shown the vulnerability of early childhood, how infants adapt to changes in their environment.
The question that's always been asked by people who have studied these children in the past is about what does it really mean to be human? We look at the development of language. What happens if you don't get language up to a critical period? And that critical period is, I think, now generally accepted that if you haven't got language by about 5, you're not going to get language at all.
Officials have taken custody of a 13-year-old girl, and they say was kept in such isolation by her parents that she never even learned to talk.
Perhaps most inexplicable of all these feral children is Jeannie Wiley, found not in some poverty-stricken third world country, but right in the heart of middle-class Los Angeles.
The girl still wore diapers and was uttering infantile noises when a social worker discovered the case 2 weeks ago. But the authorities are hoping she still may have a normal learning capacity.
For the first 13 years of her life, Jeannie endured almost total sensory and social deprivation, isolated in her bedroom. By day, she was strapped onto a potty chair. By night, chained to her bed. Detective Frank Linley was one of the first people to see her when she was discovered in 1970.
The child obviously had been severely mistreated. After she was still in diapers, couldn't walk. She had no verbal skills at all at that point.
It was Jeannie's dominating and mentally unstable father, Clark Wiley, who cut his daughter off from the world, even from her own mother and brother. Jeannie had never learned to speak, so scientists wondered if she could ever be taught. Looked after in foster care, she also became a living experiment for linguists like Susan Curtis.
She was extremely interested in everything around her. She wanted to know the word for everything around her. She wanted to engage people all around her. She was not mentally deficient. Her lights were on, and everyone who worked with her, from teachers to therapists to me, knew that she was not retarded.
The conventional thinking was that language would be impossible, but early on, Jeannie confounded the scientists.
As she began to learn more and more words, hundreds of words, much more rapidly than I ever imagined, and stringing them together, I began to think maybe I will be wrong. Maybe she will be the one that will prove that this hypothesis is incorrect.
But then things changed for the worse. Haunted by her traumatic upbringing, Jeannie's development stopped.
She learned tons of words. She has an enormous vocabulary. But language is not words. Language is grammar. Language is sentences. How do you make a sentence? What can be a sentence?
In Jeannie's brain, the left part of her brain, her cortex, that has those neural systems responsible for speech and language.
At 18, Jeannie Wiley's life took another strange and tragic twist. She left the care of foster parents and moved back in with her mother, back into the house where she'd endured 13 years of neglect.
People wouldn't listen to me. People who needed to intervene did not listen to me. And so I spent lots and lots of time on the phone pleading with people to intervene and save this person who had had the worst experience of deprivation and isolation in all recorded medical history, who was now in a crisis situation.
As you'd expect, her condition quickly deteriorated. Her mother couldn't cope, and Jeannie was put into an institution. She was also lost to science, a court order stopping people like Susan Curtis going anywhere near her.
I went from being asked to be her guardian to 1 week later being prevented from seeing her or phoning her. And ever since then, I've been prevented from having any contact at all.
Jeannie's almost 50 now. She's still institutionalised and still not allowed contact with the scientists. Her present condition is unknown.
We are continuing to learn more and more about how to help these children and more about how these neglectful experiences influence their brain. But we're just on the very, very, very cusp of being able to be helpful. Because to date, we haven't done a very good job with that. We just haven't understood the brain or brain development in ways that would allow us to be as good as we can be. And I think that that's changing.
Why feral children like Jeannie would ever want to be reunited with their parents is perhaps explained in the 1960s experiments of notorious psychologist Harry Harlow. He took newborn monkeys from their mothers and gave them a choice between a cold wire surrogate with milk or a soft, warm surrogate without. They chose comfort above food every time. So maybe we've been hardwired to expect comfort from our biological parents, no matter what they do to us.
Harlow's work was really seminal in this entire field because he showed the crucial importance of the caregiving relationship between a mother and an infant, and how the physical stimulation, literally the physical contact with the caregiver, has profound impact on healthy development.
Demikianlah cuplikan video kali ini mengenai anak liar. Jadi kesimpulannya adalah guys, bahwasanya apabila seseorang anak dikucilkan dalam kelompok masyarakat atau dikucilkan oleh keluarga, maka individu atau anak tersebut mengambil alih sosialisasinya atau pergaulannya dengan dunianya sendiri. Ini adalah dampak-dampak dari proses sosialisasi tidak sempurna. Mungkin rekan-rekan sekalian atau para pemirsa, apa sih proses sosialisasi yang tidak sempurna? Jadi sekali lagi penekanannya bahwasanya proses sosialisasi tidak sempurna ada 5 item, 5 agen yang sangat mempengaruhi dari proses-proses sosialisasi itu sendiri. Yang pertama adalah keluarga, yang kedua adalah teman permainan atau pergaulan, yang ketiga adalah teman sejawat atau teman pekerjaan, yang keempat adalah lingkungan sekitar atau masyarakat, yang kelima adalah media massa gitu. Nah, dari 5 agen sosialisasi ini ada salah satu agen yang tidak sempurna. Nah, apabila misalnya anak tersebut kurang diperhatikan oleh pihak keluarga, dalam hal ini dampak konsekuensi psikologisnya adalah karena mungkin sering dilakukan tindakan keras, kekerasan dan sebagainya, sehingga psikologisnya terganggu, sehingga individu atau anak ini mencari dengan dunianya sendiri agar dia nyaman. Nah, ini adalah kesimpulan dari video kali ini. Mudah-mudahan kita sebagai masyarakat yang sehat, individu yang sehat, memahami maksud dan tujuan dari video kali ini. Bukan berarti menyinggung kelompok, sara dan sebagainya, tetapi tujuan video kali ini adalah bagaimana membangun masyarakat yang sehat, masyarakat yang berpikir untuk masa depan. Karena anak adalah masa depan kita, masa depan masyarakat, masa depan bangsa dan negara. Demikianlah guys kesimpulan video kali ini. Tapi jangan lupa di subscribe channel saya, yaitu Dipa. Terima kasih atas kunjungannya, dan mudah-mudahan akan kita lanjutkan video-video berikutnya yang lebih menarik. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Tabit pun.